Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Ginger News. So this article touched me differently because I like DWE and I don't like how the Guardian are portraying him, but I forget that they're like middle class people looking at grime music, so they don't really understand it. But anyways, DWE, Grimes nearly man. I haven't been able to prove myself. So, and this is a quote: "I've wasted too much time," says DWE, in a uncharismatically somber moment between mouthfuls of sausage and mash in his local pub in East London. That's DWE, to be fair. It's 14 years since the self-professed Newham General, the MC's, the fans' favorite. The reason why they say the MC's MC is because he's a very technical MC. You have to like read between the lines. You have to be someone who is really into music to like properly be into DWE, unless you just love DWE as an artist because well, he's just sick. He's done drum and bass, jungle, dubstep, grime. The guy is like multi talented. But anyways, let me get back to this. So, the MC's MC, the fans' favourite, was first and last interviewed in The Guardian, and his impatience is understandable. Back then, it's Grimes' breakout period when the genre was only just acquiring the name. There was a amount of hype, expectation, and raw talent drawing mainstream interest. Even at the early stages, DWE was seen as something of a veteran. So basically, DWE has been about, as I previously said, since like jungle, 4x4 garage, like earlier than grime has been around, so he would be someone you would potentially consider to be like a forefather of it. But anyways, back then in grime's breakout period, where the genre was just acquiring its name, there was a load of hype and expectations around the raw talent drawing mainstream interest. Even at the early stage, DWE was seen as something of a veteran. Like Wiley, he was a vital few years older than teenage crews like Rough Squad and Meridian, from which Tinsy Strider and Skepta would emerge respectively after leaving the legendary Nasty Crew following a fallout with Marcus Nasty. And to be fair, Nasty Crew at one point were like one of the strongest grime groups back then because they had Kano, and Kano went on to be a legend in his own right. They had Stormin, rest in peace Stormin. Um, they had Jamo, they had like so many sick artists that were in that collective at that time that went on to do their own thing. But anyways, so he was ready to graduate from a thriving, if chaotic, underground scene. "I'm not a little kid anymore," he said in that 2004 interview. "I want to be an artist, man." He has not stopped making music or performing in the interviews decades and a half later, which makes it pretty extraordinary that DWE is only now releasing a debut album. But the reason why I would say he's only now releasing a debut album is DWE, I don't think has ever really give a shit about releasing an album. He is like, if you give him a microphone and you put him in a rave, he will run that rave. The guy is just made. That's him in his element. I remember as a kid watching um like Risky Roads and seeing him on there like spitting and doing pirate radio sets, listening to them on radio frequencies. Hold out everyone who did that. But anyways, born Darren Dixon, hence the name DWE. His status of the grime scene is difficult to overstate. He is one who inspired Dizzy Rascal, and funny enough, he ended up working with Dizzy Rascal, originally a DJ to pick up the mic. In 2015, Skepta called him, without hesitating, the greatest MC of all time, and I will 100% back that statement, even though Wiley is someone I highly regard to be a very good MC. Wiley recently recalled that the root of all this grime business was him and DWE performing at house parties in East London in the 90s. Chipmunk referenced DWE's classic early material on his first single, Fire Alive, back in the day. I'd lock into Deja and hear DWE spit Birds in the Sky, and hold tight anyone who actually listened to that on Deja back then. The 38-year-old MC personifies grime evolution as a genre born of pirate radio and rave culture, where the MC is a host in the Jamaican sound system tradition. responding spontaneously to DJ's live sections rather than a polished, managed artist laying down pre-written pop stars songs in a studio playing the white industry game. So essentially, he was just a raw, talented artist. Oh yeah, the video that you're seeing, I'm not gonna play this because I'm not gonna get done for copyright. The video that you're playing in front, that you see in front of you, is DW Street Fighter. If you like Street Fighter, or you just like grime, or you're into hip hop or something, or you like dubstep in any way at all, I would implore you to check that out. And for a bonus point for anyone who listens to grime, name the name of the DJ who produced that instrumental. So, in those early days, grime was not a visible genre, and to distinguish themselves from the Claymore on a multi MC pirate radio show, vocal style, memorial, rem- remem- basically ad libs you would remember. So DW had his famous echo. Dizzy Rascal used to say it's Rasket. Wiley used to say Esky Boy or Esky B. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm sorry, guys, that I can't read this to the same standard as what middle class people decide to describe grime as, but this is me decoding it and breaking it down for you into terms that people who actually listen to the genre can understand. And a verbal audio logo were invaluable parts of the MC's armor. So essentially, making your brand logo. Like Boy Better Know, they ran the t-shirt game in grime for a very long time. I've actually still got one of their t-shirts. Some other merch that I've got funny enough, I had Get send me the Rebel t-shirt and the Rebel hoodie, and I've also got Momentum 2 signed by Gets. So yeah. But anyways, so DW essentially wanted to, make his own ad libs and make his own brand. So on these terms, DW's charisma soon made him a pirate legend. The DW signal was an immediately recognizable announcement of his arrival at a rave or on a radio set. I'm not even going to try and replicate that because he just does it in his own unique way. If you ever listen to DW, then you will understand that you can't imitate DW. And I think that's the reason why that makes him such a good MC and a very technical MC when it comes to bars, because to replicate DW, you're just going to sound like a fool. He's the only one who can make that style work. It's kind of like General Levy in a sense, where how fast he raps, and he has that. I'm not even going to imitate it, but everyone's heard the song Jungle is Massive. His little ad lib that he has on that. He's the only one who can do that. If you look at any of his videos now, and DW is highly influenced by General Levy because they do have sets together and they have done interviews and stuff like that. So what I am saying is relevant. Anyways, like a music hall performer peering his head around the side of a curtain before stepping out onto the stage, written non. Well, right, basically they're basically trying to say in English it looks comical. It's not comical. He basically, I'm not even going to imitate it, but yeah, he says, "Ooh, it's me." But it spreads out over about 9 or 10 syllables because essentially he drags the lines so that it's in time. So yeah, he does a he changes his voice as well because that's not how he normally talks. He puts that voice on to essentially make that sound, and that's very original. Never heard that from another individual. Is one of his not his trademarks, but one of his bars. Runs an old school DW lyric. DW grew up in Forest Gate in the 80s and 90s, surrounded by reggae and American hip hop. He would write out Snoop Dogg lyrics while simultaneously falling in love with pop music classics by the likes of Nia Cherry and Dawn Penn. He sings the later No 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 to Me. Funny enough, he actually did a remix of that No 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 song by Dawn Penn. Um, Screwing up his face in mock emotional tribute. He clearly loves making people laugh, an entertainer, whether the mic is in his hand or not, doing silly voices, impersonating the subwoofer, and doing theatrical renditions of everything from just MCs to CC. He gets into, like, he has these different personas that he does, like Dapper Dan. But yeah, the guy's The guy's a legend. But anyway, there was a lot of togetherness in the early grime scene. He recalls they travelled from Newham to Bow to meet Wiley, or South London to Hackney for raves and pirate radio sets. It felt more like a community. It felt a bit closer. He says we had to work our way out of certain conditions. It used to be quite racist back in London, in East London in them days. The spirit was forged by guys linking to make music in bedrooms and youth centres, and most of all in radio stations that gave us the platform to help us. After a decade in which grime has come to dominate pop culture, and whether the illegal stations have been largely replaced by the likes of BBC Radio 1 Extra, I was on that, Rinse FM, the pirate era seems like a lost world. Also, I met Charlie Sloth, and I don't really think of much of him, so sorry. The stations felt like trap mans. He laughs. Some of them never had proper doors. They were just abandoned houses. You could just push the door open and walk in. Do you know what? I can say that from experience because whenever I've walked into some of the nicest studios I've been in my house, I've been taken to like the most horrible area. If anyone knows the studio in St. Paul's, there is a studio on, I can't think of the name of the council estate, but there's a council estate in St. Paul's, and I was taken to like this really rough looking area. I'm not really from like the best area in Cardiff anyway, but I was taken to this really rough looking area, and I was told, "Oh, there's a studio. You just got to go down this lane." And I was walking with this guy, and I was just like, "Am I gonna be killed?" And, and to be fair, I walked into a studio, and there was probably about 20 to 30,000 pound worth of studio equipment there. So if you are a producer or you make music or you want to have like a good space that you can go and create music without being disturbed, soundproof the room and get it in a really crappy looking area. Don't have it somewhere like really posh looking because people are just going to look at your door and just be like, oh, he's got money. If you look like you've got some little trap house, people are just going to be like, well, I don't really want to go in there. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyways, back to the story at hand. So, like I was saying, yeah, some of them looked like normal households. So you would walk in, see the kids playing, mum's cooking dinner, you say hello to the uncles, and then you go upstairs to the bedroom and it's a radio station. I remember them times. It wasn't always about recording what you were doing. Sometimes it was just that your mate's got some decks in his bedroom, so let's have a mix. Oh, another thing as well, this used to make me laugh. Whenever you used to listen to pirate radio sets, you would hear about 30 big ups and shout outs before anyone actually started playing any sort of instrumental. So like a beat would come on and be like wom 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 wom. Yeah, hold tight. Wazer, Flazer, hold tight. Everyone would, and then there was always a phone line that they would ring off, and everyone would know that phone line off by heart. Be like, 074539. Yeah, call this number. But they were the golden days for music for me. I know I sound like I'm taking the piss out of it, but I'm not. Honestly, they were the golden days for me. Anyway, those teenage experience are where his hilarious ad libs came from. The DWE signal, but also other catchphrases like his Buddha Buddha and Blooka Blooka lyrical. Why do they put such big words for basically lyrics? So basically his ad libs back to the booth, back to both his Grimes origin in jungle, drum and bass in the 90s, as I previously said. Those echoes come from spraying in that freestyle. What the hell, that freestyle way? So basically, freestyling is how he got his spur of the moment energy, and that's what is the magic of DWE. We had to create grime because we needed it for our spirits and spitters because we're coming from drum and bass, which is so open, like spray your heart out, G, spray your lungs out. After Dizzy was signed and won the Mercury Prize, he wanted to bring through his teenage hero and approached DWE after joining his new label, as I previously mentioned, Dirty Stank, which is the name of DWE's label. He also manages Footsie underneath that as well, and some other artists. So DWE agreed on one condition: he signed his new crew, New Generals. As I just previously mentioned, Footsie is the other member in New Generals. There used to be a third member called Monkstar or Monkey, but he left. He has come back to music now, but he's not. He is on music, but he's not on music like he used to be. Anyway, which he had formed with fellow local MCs, Footsies and Monkstar. Touring as Dizzy's support act in front of new audiences unfamiliar with their pirate fame was a learning curve, he says. It was an eye-opener. It was the first time I got to see what living the real life would be outside of the club, sweating in small raves. Everyone's been in a sweaty rave box. It put us in a spot where we had to learn how to entertain differently. In the best part of a decade signed to Dirty Stank, the crew only released one album, generally speaking, in 2009, and that was an amazing album. and a smattering of classic solo singles like DWE, Street Fighter Rhythm. Go and check that out. There's a sense among fans of constant postponement, and that the release were capturing the brilliance of MC's live performances. The whole period was just frustrating. He says now, adding that there is another New and General's album in the tank, which will see a release at some point. I had too many people telling me different things, but I think I think it had to happen. And the freedom I have now with my independent label, Blooker Music, I run the label myself. I handle the artist myself. It's all coming from the right organic corner, and I'm in control of what's happening. It's like grabbing a hold of a horse yourself. I've always been sitting there waiting for somebody to tell me when, and but I want to tell myself when. I don't want anyone to tell me what to do. That's the way forward, and I completely respect that, because at the end of the day, the guy has just got to the point where he is a legend in his own right. He's obviously acquired enough money and enough links within the industry to make that move for himself. So big up to him. But anyway, his debut solo album JACKUM features guest spots from fellow grime originals Wiley, Skepta, Youngers, MCs as AJ Tracy, Littles, but the sound is distinctly DWE. The skippy flow, the cheeky persona shines through. He's so taken with his newfound independence. He's already making his next one. It feels like an overdue empathy and opportunity to take 2 decades of free-flowing lyrical brilliance and spontaneity and canalize it into something widely accessible and lasting. Most of all, he seems happy. I've won people over with entertainment, but I haven't been able to prove myself. People say DWE the best, he's the best, but what is there to prove? There isn't even an album. There's just verses and bars. I want to give the people my music. They don't want those 16 bars no more. They want a product. I'm doing what I should have done years ago, being a free spirit. So JACKUM is out now on Blooker Music. Inner City Pressure, The Storm of Grime by Dan Hackham is published by William Collins. So that was that article. What do you think upon that? I implore you to go and check DW out. He's an absolutely amazing artist. Has tons and tons and tons of music. Some that I would say for you to check out would be any of his freestyles on with Logan Sama on Kiss from back in the day. Street Fighter Rhythm, DW Signals, Thuggish Ruggish. That was an amazing song that he did with JME. It's a really old one. Some other stuff from DW that you should check out. Woo Rhythm. He set the pace with Woo Rhythm. Funny enough, it sparked a load of other people actually going over that instrumental after he did it. And yeah, just look at his new and general products. Generally speaking, check out Footsie as well, King Original 1, 2, and 3, also 4 as well. But yeah, thank you for watching another episode of GNG News. If you want me to create more videos on like grime artists and people that I actually listen to, then let me know in the comment section down below. And I will catch up with you all very, very soon in the next video. Bloco.